All right, welcome back. I'm doing the flop trunk on my car right now. So I got this bracket, but it was too long, so I'm gonna have to modify it because I don't want to go back to the hardware store. So all you have to do is loosen this screw, take this screw off, put this in there like this. This is how it's gonna sit, like that. So ideally, the bracket will be a smaller bracket, probably like half the size to right here. I'm just gonna modify this bracket and work with that. It's not really much of a big deal that I have. You're not able to see it anyway. So what you're gonna do here is you're gonna find the center of the bracket first, because you want to make a hole going through the bracket so you can be able to put this original screw. You're gonna put the original screw, so when you're not flopping it, you're gonna have your security of your trunk, right? So what I'm gonna do, I just slipped the bracket in there. I loosened this one, took off this one, and then I was able to slip it in there. So just start to mark it. I'm gonna get this drill and I'm gonna go down in it like this, just like to get the center of it. And I'm gonna take it out and then I'm gonna go work on it. So for this one, I'm gonna have to, it's too long, right? So I'm gonna cut it, I'm gonna look at it. You can find smaller ones. I don't know why I got this long one. I thought it was gonna work, but it didn't work. So for this one, you're gonna have to cut it. I'm gonna have to cut it. When you're doing yours, you look for a smaller one. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut it like right here. I'm gonna have to do more work than I needed to. Cut it there, make another hole here. Just use 2 holes. I'm gonna use 2 screws on both sides. So you can use self-tapping screws, but what I'm gonna use is the rivet gun that has these threads on it, right? So what you do is you make the hole, and then after you get the rivet, and then you push it down, then it locks on there. So I'm gonna use the rivets on this one. I think this one, I'll tell you what's the size of the screw right now. The size of the screw that I'm gonna use is this one, the 832s, a small screw. I'm using this length, but you could use whatever size length you want. I think this one's good because right here it has a lot of space. It has enough space to go through. It has a lot of space. You won't go into the top of your trunk. So let me modify this bracket for you and show you how it's gonna work. So once you put this bracket right here, you also have to put a little washer behind this screw, because then the trunk doesn't sit flush. Because you're lifting it up over here, you have to lift it up over here so it can sit flush when you close it. So this is the way that I've seen. I'm gonna put the video that I learned from this. Also shout out to I think I'll look for his name right now. Tuck TV has it. They've been doing this for years. I just didn't know how to do it. I never looked it up. So I found it right there. He does it a little bit different. Well, that's where I got the idea with the rivets instead of using self-tapping screws. He also puts like a little lock right here so you can be able to lock it and it will stay just holding on by the bracket. But in my case, I'm gonna be holding on by the screws, and then when I want to flop it, I take off the screws and then it just flops. It's holding on by the bracket only itself. But when I'm not using it, it's gonna have the 2 screws. So this is just gonna slip in there. This is what I'm gonna do just to see if it's good. So make sure that the screw goes in there. It's gonna work. Really good. So that looks like it's good right there. So before you start the next process, you're gonna put one here, and that's it. That's gonna be holding the trunk. It's gonna have one here. But what you have to do right here now is take it off. Take this off. That's the only hard part for me because I'm by myself. So I put this rag right here, make sure that the trunk doesn't fall on the window and didn't scrape anything. So I put the rag right here, took off the screws, You're gonna get this and you're gonna push it down like this. What you're gonna do here is put the bracket in there, like if you were gonna put it on. Like that. Put the screw through there. Make sure it's centered. And then what we're gonna do here is we're gonna mark our holes. It has resistance because that side's up and this side's down. So just try to find the center. Make your hole. You're marking it for your hole. So I got that one right. So now I'm gonna make another hole right here. So it could be holding on by those two. And then what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna make the hole bigger so the screw, when I put the screw in, it sits a little bit flat. Get a bigger drill bit. Okay, once you got that done, you're gonna mock it. Put the screws in there. I'm gonna put some thread lock on it so that way with the vibrations it doesn't get loose. Okay, so we're done. So just remember you have to put a washer back here so it could even out the trunk. I was trying to figure out something like, right here has a hole right here. These are the ones for the screws. I was thinking of putting another rivet right here so that way it pushes it out and that way I don't have to use a washer anymore. But I'm gonna use the washer for now. I don't wanna do more than I have to. So this is how it's gonna go back. These are already all screwed on. So I'm gonna put it all together so you guys can see how it's gonna be. And the fitment of the trunk and stuff. And then after If it's gonna be closed properly, that's the most important thing. I don't care about this. I'm caring about if the trunk's still gonna close properly. So just after you do this, we'll do this last. Hand tying this, and then I'll check the trunk, see if it's gonna close properly. You have to be careful right here. It looks good spacing. I think it's not tight all the way, that's why it's up a little bit. Let's check it. I think the washer I put on the bottom was too big. This one. But yeah, it's good. It's a little bit up. This side's perfect. Always hand tight because you don't want to strip the thread on the trunk. Perfect. There it is. So now that you know that you have your bracket on there properly, now you could almost finish the last step. The line is still perfect. So we're gonna go to the last step now. Mark the center and just drill there. I'm only gonna use two. These two should be fine. I could put out three if I want, but always start off with a smaller one than you need. Okay, once you have everything already buttoned up, tightened in, then you just close the trunk, make sure everything's closing properly. Everything looks good. This is good. This is good. So now I'm gonna see if what I did is gonna work, and the flop trunk is gonna be working properly. So this is the moment of truth. So since the flop trunk is not gonna be used all the time, only when I go to shows and stuff, it's always gonna be bolted on by its screws. When I want to flop it, I have to take out the screws. So this is what we're gonna have to do. Just remove all the screws that we have here. Flop trunk is complete. I don't know if I did it properly, but this is the way that I did it. These are just guidelines. If you see that I did a Mickey Mouse or whatever, that's on you. This is the way that I did it. Just be careful that I was looking at right here is that when it flops, it lands on the back seal of the window, but I don't know if that's right. I was thinking maybe if I would have did the bracket the other way, it would be higher. But I think that's the way that it goes. I'm not sure. I could also, like, if it would stay up like this, it would be cool. But the way that it looks now, it's really nice because if you look at it from the back, it's perfectly flat. It's perfectly straight. See? Trunk is complete. So this is gonna rest on in the middle right here. So just be careful with that. Not hit the window and break it. And pretty much straight. So look at how straight it is. Came out perfect. Just get the smaller brackets. I'm gonna put the video from Tuck TV on there. Shout out to CB2 Kevin to give me the guidelines also on the 10th gen flop trunk, and shout out to Tuck TV on some of the steps that I used on mocking this up. So there it is. All right, so now to put it back to where it was. Just pick it up. Prop it back up. Put the screws back on. Could have used only one screw if you want, but remember that you have to put the washer so it can be properly. Like that. The washer. The back of the screw. So go ahead and watch on my playlist that I'm gonna put up there of Tuck TV. The only difference is you're gonna do on this one is that you're gonna maintain these two screws. You can't put the slider on this one because it's not flat right here like the one that he's doing. I think he's doing like a Civic. So if it would have been flat right here, I would have been able to just make a hole right here, put the lock on there, and then I don't have to put the screws and just leave it like that. But the screws part is a good idea for me. I always have the security of the trunk being not bending or anything like that. So use the screws. Just take off the screws when you want to flop it, and that's it. Easy. When you're working with these screws, just make sure you do it by hand first. You don't want to go in there and do them all tight and then mess up the thread. This is just gonna be for shows. It's not gonna be something that you do all the time. So it's just like I just want to have it on there already. So I don't want to use just like that. Close it. Perfectly straight. And there you go. That's the flop trunk for the 10th gen Accord.